Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. Isaiah 26, verse 20. Chapter 2. Demonstrating the first proposition that there are times and seasons appointed by God for the pouring out of his indignation upon the world. Section 1. This is plainly implied in the text, that there are times of indignation appointed to befall the world, yea, and more than this. Not only that such time shall come, but the duration and continuance is also under an appointment. Hide yourself for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. The prophet tells us in Zephaniah 2 verse 2 that these stormy times are under a decree, and that decree is there compared to a pregnant woman, which is to go out her appointed months, and then to travail and bring forth. Even so it is in the judgments God brings upon the world. We see them not in the days of provocation, but all this while they are in the womb of the decree, and at the appointed season they shall become visible to the world. As there are in nature fair, halcyon days, and cloudy, overcast, and stormy, so it is in providence, as Ecclesiastes 7:14, God has set the one over against the other, yea, one is the occasion of the other. For look, as the sun in a hot day expels abundance of vapors from the earth and sea, these occasion showers, thunder, and tempests, and those again clear the air and dispose it to fair weather again. So it is here. Prosperity is the occasion of abundance of sin. This brings on adversity from the justice of God to correct it. Adversity, being sanctified, humbles, reforms, and purges the people of God. And this again by mercy procures their prosperity. So you find the account stated in Psalm 107 verse 17. Fools, because of their iniquities, are afflicted. Then they cry to the Lord in their troubles, and he saves them out of their distresses. And this appointment of times of distress is both profitable and necessary for the world, especially God's own people in it. In general, by this, the being and righteousness of God is cleared and vindicated against the atheism and infidelity of the world. Psalm 9, verse 16, the Lord is known by the judgments that he executes. Impunity is the occasion of many atheistical thoughts in the world. Jeremiah 48, verse 11. Moab has been at ease from his youth. He has settled on his lees and has not been emptied from vessel to vessel. Neither has he gone into captivity. Therefore his taste remains in him, and his scent is not changed. So Psalm 55, verse 19. Because they have no changes, therefore they fear not God. Kingdoms, families, and particular persons, like standing water in ponds, are apt to go corrupt by long-continued peace and prosperity. The Lord therefore sees it necessary to purge the world by his judgments. When your judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. Those sermons that God preaches from heaven by the terrible voice of his judgment startle and rouse a secure world, more than all the warnings and exhortations of his ministers could ever do. Those that slept securely under our ministry will fear and tremble under his rods. Those that are without faith are not without sense and feeling. Their own evil eyes will affect their hearts, though our words could make no impression on them. Section 2. But of what use soever these national judgments are to others, to be sure they shall be beneficial to God's own people. When others die by fear, they shall live by faith. If they be baneful poison to the wicked, they shall be healthful physic to the godly. For by these calamities God will mortify and purge their corruptions. This winter weather shall be useful to destroy and rot those rank weeds which a summer of prosperity bred. By this, therefore, the iniquity of Jacob shall be purged. Medicine in its own nature is griping and unpleasant, but very useful and necessary to purge the body from noxious and malignant humors, which retained may put life itself in hazard. And it is with the body politic as with the body natural. Number 2. National judgments drive the people of God nearer to him and to one another. They drive the people of God to their knees and make them pray more frequently, more fervently. and more feelingly than ever they were wont to do. In this posture you find him in verses 8 and 9 of this chapter. Yea, in the way of your judgments, O Lord, have we waited for you. The desire of our souls is to your name, and to the remembrance of you. With my soul have I desired you in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me will I seek you early. Number 3, in a word, by these distractions and distresses of nations, the people of God are more weaned from the world, and made to long more vehemently after heaven, being now convinced by experience that this is not their rest. When all things are tranquil and prosperous, God's own people are but too apt to fall asleep and dream of pleasure and rest on earth, to say as Job in his prosperity, I shall die in my nest. I shall multiply my days as the sand. And then are their heads and hearts filled with many projects and designs to promote their comforts and make provision for their accommodations on earth. The multiplicity of earthly cares and comforts take up their time and thoughts too much, and make them that they mind death and eternity too little. But God says this must not be so. Things must not go on at this rate. The prosperous world must not thus enchant my people. I must embitter the earth that I may by this sweeten heaven the more to them. When they find no rest below, they will surely seek it above. These and such like are the gracious designs and ends of God in shaking the world by his terrible judgments. But yet, though national troubles must necessarily come, the wisest of men cannot positively determine the precise time of these judgments. We may indeed, by the signs of the times, discern their near approach, yet our judgment can be but probable and conjectural, seeing there are tacit conditions in the dreadfulest threatenings. Jeremiah 18, verses 7 and 8. Jonah 3, verses 9 and 10. And such is the merciful nature of God that he oft times turns away his anger from his people when it seems ready to pour down upon them. Psalm 78, verse 38. The consideration whereof no way indulges security, but encourages to repentance and greater fervency in prayer.